Brandon Jennings, the mercurial point guard for the Milwaukee Bucks, has been in a holding pattern all summer. As it stands now, he is a restricted free agent with a qualifying offer of $4.5 million for 1 year from his own team. Any other team can make him an offer, and the Bucks have the right to match it or let him go. So why hasn't the team made an offer? Isn't there someone out there that could use a high-volume shooting point guard with a low field goal percentage? Let's dive into his synergy numbers to get a handle on what other general managers are seeing and why calling his agent is such a frightening proposition for them. First, let's get this notion that his assists are low because of the talent around him. Sure, this Bucks team ruins some potential assists for him, but let's face it, he simply isn't that kind of facilitating point guard that sets guys up. But that's not what is scaring away other suitors. It's his shooting. There are very few ways to look at this in a positive light, and here's why. Just looking at Synergy's shot distribution, we see that Jennings only takes about 18% of his jump shots from inside of 17 feet. Compare that to a top point guard like Chris Paul, and you realize he settles for way too many long twos. Even looking at a player like Ramon Sessions, it's clear he's far behind even the average point guard in getting closer looks at the basket. For some context to his medium-range game, look at some of the point guards who shoot better than him and their league ranking. For an even clearer picture of where his shots are coming from, this shot chart shows that a vast majority of his shots come from the longest three-point shot on the floor and only 32% around the basket. Now compare that to Ramon Sessions, who gets to the rim almost twice as much. And looking at their shot performance, you can see that these numbers are pretty similar, making Brandon Jennings not that an attractive free agent. It's no secret Jennings is a left-handed player, but it's pretty frightening how little he uses his right hand to finish at the rim, even when he's on the right side. To his credit, Brandon Jennings doesn't isolate that much for his position, but he's awful at it, ranking in the 28th percentile. And most of his problems stem from his over-reliance on the step-back jump shot. The biggest problem is that he does make this shot from time to time, further encouraging him to take it. I believe he takes these ridiculously tough jumpers so often to take pressure off of himself to actually make them. Only Steph Curry can take a shot like this and make it consistently. His best shot is the three-pointer, but even this shot has some problems for him. He rarely takes it on balance, and his release is also very slow, as he needs to step in to get it off. One could only imagine how much better he'd be if he cleaned his footwork up. Jennings is actually ranked 18th in assist to turnover ratio, which is something, but he's still behind guys like Kyle Lowry, Andre Miller, Jameer Nelson, and Goran Dragic. And factoring his points per possession plus assists, and he's pretty average, ranked 49th out of 162, behind others like Jose Calderon, Darren Collison, Grievous Vasquez, Isaiah Thomas, and Will Bynum. One reason his turnovers are low is because he tends to force bad shots instead of turning it over. Some of his shots are so bad, I'm inclined to count them as live ball turnovers. While Synergy's defensive stats can be dubious at times, there is no ignoring how low his rating really is. There isn't one category he does well in, and it stems from a lack of discipline. He is constantly reaching for the ball and will revert to playground tactics when guarding it. Just watch how he over-pursues the ball, always on the verge of being out of position until his man gets by him and into the lane. He wanders around on the weak side, willing to help off his man one pass away, and he's much too small to make up for it on a closeout, giving up open shots constantly. So this leaves Brandon Jennings with very few options left. After Jeff Teague went back to Atlanta, the market for point guards has dried up, and he probably regrets not signing an extension during this past year. As it is now, he will most likely have to accept the Bucks' qualifying offer of $4.5 million for 1 year and hope he can improve some of the things we went over. If not, he might find that next summer will be even more difficult than this one.